Morning everyone, welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've just hopped over from Facebook, then welcome. And if you don't already follow us on Facebook, we're on Hedgehog Hollow Inc. INK, and you can catch us every weekday morning 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and we have a Facebook Live all about stamps and crafting and paper crafting and giveaways and all sorts of fun stuff. So I hope you will hop over there and join us as well if you haven't already. So this morning I'm going to talk to you some more tips about reverse stamping, but rather than working with ink, we're going to be working with water and watercolors. So I'm going to work with my brush-o pigments, and I'm going to work with some other watercolor pigments. I've kind of been experimenting in the background, and I've got two finished cards that I'm going to show you. Hi Rachel. And we're going to show you how you stamp with water. Now you can stamp on either side of the stamp with water, but this is a fun way to add a solid background around your stamp, and then I've used embossing powder, which I'll show you in a second, to give you a nice solid outline. Now, before I forget, I wanted to remind you that you have until midnight tonight, which is the 13th of June Eastern Standard Time here in the US, to enter our giveaway on the blog hedgehoghollow.co.uk. So if you're not already entered into our giveaway, hop on over there for a scrapbook.com prize pack. There's some great stuff to be won over there. And if you're not watching this live and it's past the 13th of June, do check out the blog, because we're now going to have a monthly giveaway section. Hi Lois. So be sure to check that out if you're not watching us live too. I also want to let you know that there is a link blog post in the description below. So as soon as this is off of live, there will be a description down there that will give you a link to the blog, which has lots of pictures of these cards. I'll embed this video in there, and it has a supply list if you want to refer back to it, plus some other hints and tips that I just drop into the blog post as well. Because when you're live, you quite often forget to say something that you might have wanted to have said. Be sure to also subscribe to our channel here, Hedgehog Hollow, on YouTube. You are also on Instagram at Hedgehog Hollow, so super easy to find everywhere. And do give us a thumbs up. I'm told it helps us get our videos featured higher up the listings when people are searching for some card making ideas. So let's turn you over to my desk, and then I can show you the cards that we're going to create. So let's just move this around like so. And I'm going to move my microphone cord out the way like this. There we go. So these are the two cards that I've done for you as samples. So I'm going to show you how to do some tight backgrounds like this one, and I'm going to show you how to do something a little bit more arty as well. This is, both the sentiments are my favourite thing sentiments, and this one I've popped on some fun foam. You can cut through fun foam with your die cuts, and this one is just plain black cardstock. I finished them both off just by flicking around some different colours of paint, particularly some golds and coppers and things from my Gansai Tambi Starry Colours set as well. So I just flicked those around. These are some Tonic Nouveau drops and some sequins that I added just for some extra sparkle. Both of these, again, are heat embossed on top of the backgrounds that we're going to do. Hi Phyllis. This is using the Ranger Liquid Platinum, and you could also use the gold, and this is using the Ranger White Super Fine. So I'm just going to show you how to make the panels, and then you could mount them up like these if you like. As I say, there is a blog post below which will have all the photos and everything in, so you can see how I've mounted them up. Now I'm going to use some Canson watercolor paper that I have here already. So this is my Canson Bristol Smooth, and I'm going to use my Elizabeth Craft Designs Flower Power. Now I love this set so much, you've seen me use it a lot, and it is a good one for reverse stamping. Now reverse stamping means we use this flat back side of the stamp rather than the normal side that we stamp our outlines with. So we're going to first of all put that down on our sheet of paper. And you can use a MISTI or you can use an acrylic block, and you're going to want to press pretty hard because you don't have a huge surface area for it to adhere to. Now when you're doing the tighter option, I just take my water sprayer like this. Now rather than turning my MISTI over this way like we normally would, that will make your water run everywhere. So I'm just going to grab a magnet, because I just keep mine separately in the drawer here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my cardstock and put it down onto my stamp and give it a firm press, and that will give you a tighter image of water around your stamp. Now you can't really see what I've put in there at the moment, I can see it here. I'm not sure that the camera is picking it up particularly well, but what we're going to do is I'm going to use my metallic accents. You can also use brusho. Brusho is great because it's water soluble, so it will help you work out where you want everything to be. So let's start off with a little bit of that, and then we'll add some colour with our metallic accents. So you can see here I'm sprinkling on my brusho. Now my brusho is only going to react where there is water. The rest of it I can just blow away, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to use my Ranger Heat It tool just to gently blow out the way anything that's not attracted to water. I'm going to use my water brush here and squeeze out a little bit of water. Here we go, until it starts coming through. There we are. And I can very lightly see the outline of where my water's gone. Now if you want to add some more water, now that you've put that colour down, the water will be drawn to even more. We can do exactly the same process. We can add water to our stamp, we can pick it up, we can pop it back down there, and then lift it back up. Now if things swim about, don't worry, because this is quite a free-form idea. So when that happens to you, you can see there I've still got my nice outline, and that's where I'm going to work with my colour. So I'm going to use my pipette, which is over here, and I'm going to pick out some coppers and some of these reds. I'll let those pigments just dissolve just for a moment, and while I add a little bit of I'm going to go for some orange, I think, in my brusho here. So these are just holes that I've made in the top of my brusho, and I keep a little pin in. Now you can see how beautifully they just dissolve and expand, and you get some wonderful effects. Now you can either leave this to air dry, or you use your Ranger Heat It tool to dry them off. While everything's just working with the water, I'm just going to use my stamp chamois here just to clean up the edge of my Misty, and I'll do the same on my stamp. Now this will not hurt your stamp. If you find your stamp is not sticky afterwards, just run it under warm water. You can use a little bit of Dawn or fairy liquid as well, which is what I did yesterday to make sure that they work just fine. Hi Deborah. That's another option you have, and it will not do any damage to your stamps. It is only water, so we're not doing anything. Now you can add some beautiful effects with your watercolors. So I'm going to pick out this beautiful reddy copper color. I love this palette, and you can just swirl it around. You can pull it in like colors, which is what I like to tend to do. So I work from the center and I pull these colors out like so, so that when I stamp over it, you'll get those beautiful colours. Now the other thing you can do is you could take some more colours of brusho. Every time you add brusho, you'll get a different effect. And what we can do is we can mist, and you can see as I add the water, depending what direction I add the water in, depends how it reacts. And that is a great thing about doing that. So that will be a stunning background. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a little helping hand with my Ranger Heat It here. So the Heat It tool gives you the same heat that an embossing tool does, but it's a much lower airflow rate, so it's not going to move your watercolors around in the same way. You'll get a little bit of movement because it is essentially blowing hot air at it. Now the only reason I can use this inside of my Misty is my Teflon mats. There is a video on our YouTube homepage. You'll see that's one of our most watched videos. That includes how to use your Misty with Teflon mats, what sizes to cut them down to, etc, etc. So I'll give this a little bit of a helping hand, and then I'm going to use just some kitchen towel just to lift out a little bit of that colour, because we're live and we don't have the time to wait for it to fully dry, but at home of course you can do that. So we'll call that done, and I'm not going to use embossing powder on this because otherwise it will stick to everything because I haven't fully dried it. The samples I showed you, I made sure it's fully dry before I move forward, and I'm going to use a StazOn just because it's nice and thick and it will show up over all of this wet nice and quickly. So let's pick up our stamp, and I'm positioning the stamp onto that watercolor piece, and this is not entirely symmetrical stamp, but what you'll find is you have some nice lumps and bumps that you can position your stamp over. Let's ink it up. Like so. I'll do it once more. So this is a nice tight way of being able to do the reverse stamping and giving you this background. And the next one I'm going to show you is a little bit more free form that will give you some great background techniques to stamp over. So that's option one, and this is how I finished it up onto a card piece. So I did lots of poppies, I varied some off the edges, and then I stamped over with some gold or liquid platinum. I think this one particular one is, but it comes out quite goldy. And then I flicked around my gold paints from my Gansai Tambi Starry Nights. And then I added this My Favourite Things Fabulous across the top. So that is one option we have. Thanks Therese, thanks Deborah. I'm just going to give this a quick wipe off because I don't want it to stain our next project if I can help it. And I think for the next one, just to be safe, we'll use the alternative flower that comes in here. This is this beautiful, I'm not entirely sure what it is, daisy type of flower, possibly. Let's move all these bits of paper off my desk, and I'll give this a wipe off. Now, this way, as I say, is a little bit more free form. It's okay, Sharon, that's the beauty of doing this on YouTube, of you can revisit it anytime. It will be listed here on our channel. I know you do, Therese, and I have a few more ideas coming up as well, but this is one I think you'll really love playing with. So now this option takes a little bit more time, and my brush is coloured, which I wouldn't particularly want it to do, but actually it may well show up better. Hi Helene, hope you're well. And what I'm going to do is I'm using my water brush to give me the outline of my stamp. And this is great if you've got lines with stamps with loads of fine lines and they won't stick to your MISTI, which I found with this particular one was a bit of an issue. You can then just add that in the middle there, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a lot of water in here and I'm going to spread it out like so. And these water brushes I actually picked up in Hobby Lobby. They were super cheap. They're called Bella Reese and they work perfectly. They're also available on scrapbook.com if you're international, and on our Facebook page and on our blog hedgehoghollow.co.uk there's a crafty sales page. The day that I'm filming this video there is a load of offers, 15% off all Ranger products, so be sure to check that out if you are needing to invest or wanting to invest, I should say. Or maybe you have seen some videos. Hi Sharon, not at all, and of course you can watch this anytime. As you know, that's why we hopped on over to YouTube. So I think I'm going to try some of this blue. This is just a pipette bottle with water in, and it's clear water, it never touches any paint, so I know that this is great to start off my pigments. I can't stand when I see these watercolor things and they have pigments all over them. I like mine to be nice and clean. So I'm going to mix this into my blue, and I'm going to start off with just a nice foundation. And you can see here how beautifully, because I have water, so it's wet on wet watercolor technique, the reaction is going, and it's got this stunning pearlescent look to it. And I'm just swirling it so I get some really fun looks in here. And this puts a nice base colour down. And you want to colour outside the lines. So let it expand. And that is how I put the base colours in. Let's give that a little wipe off. Then I added some more brusho because I just love the effect that this gives. So I'm going to add some ultramarine. and I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise, and you can see these stunning reactions and colours and things that are going in there. Every one you do will be different. And we'll finally add a little bit of purple. Now you can leave it to air dry, and you will get all of these stunning explosions of colour, and it will dry just like that. You can also take your paintbrush and you can help the mixing process along. Again, I like to work from the middle, and I do a couple of wiggly lines, and then when I stamp over it with my image, if I hold this over, you'll see, so that then works from the inside of my, I'm not sure what flower this is, I'm going to call it a cornflower, works from the inside of my flower outwards and makes it look like that explosion is coming from the center where the pollen would be. Now you can leave it like this if you're not happy with it. You can move the colors, you can work on it as much as you like. Now I really love this. I'm going to leave that just like that. It will probably take a couple of hours to dry with the amount of water we've put in. You can use your heat tool, but just because the airflow you're going to put into it, you'll see now it does move it around. You might like that idea. Another thing you can do is just play with it. Now if you haven't seen our video on the difference between all of the different heat tools, that is also on our YouTube channel. Yes, Deborah, just water and brusho and just leave it and it explodes out. I like to put a bit of base color in there, and I love these pearlescent pigments as a base color, because when it dries you end up with that lovely shimmer over the top as well. So the similar card did with exactly the same colors. This is what I ended up with. I let it flow out in different areas, and then I stamped my flower in white ultra fine Ranger embossing powder, which is part of the sale I just mentioned. And then I flicked on some more of my Gansai Tambi golds. So there's a couple of different shades of gold in there. And then I used some Fun Foam white with some black on the top there, just to give that sentiment a lovely bit of dimension. So thanks, Deborah. So that is my YouTube live for today with some top tips on more reverse stamping. Therese, I hope you have got some more ideas. I know you love this technique, which is how I discovered it when I was playing around with your request. So thank you so much for joining us. What is brusho? Brusho is this. So this is the box. It's linked up in the blog post, which I will post in just a second. If you're watching it afterwards, there's a downward arrow here and you can hop on over. It's crystal color, so it's water soluble crystal color. These are the pack that I bought, the 12 colors, and then I popped a hole in the top with my tonic pick, and then for all the reds I put a red drawing pin in the top. For the yellows, whites are neutrals, and blues are blue and purple. So the crystal color, you just tap them on. You can also mix them into being paints. There's all sorts of different things. There's other videos on brusho on our channel as well, Therese. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, do give us a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe to Hedgehog Hollow, and don't forget you've got a few hours left to enter our giveaway. Thanks so much for joining us. Happy stamping. We'll see you again soon. Bye.